I generally think that men have this major issue just seeing women enjoy their life. Like, test it, just be in your own world, having fun, enjoying life, not being attached to any outcomes, and see how triggered men get. They don't like that. I went on a date with a guy, and you guys know how I am. I'm so free-spirited. I do my own thing. I live in my own world. That's just how I am. I'm an Aquarius, right? And the whole time on this date, he was constantly trying to get me to think like him. Every time we had a conversation about something, or he asked for my view on something, I would give him my view on it. I would tell him how I feel about a certain thing, and then he would be like, no, you shouldn't think like that. No, you should be like this. No. And he started getting so triggered just by himself. He was like,
well, straight off the bat, anyone that relates everything back to a star sign, we're already started off, we're in trouble. And I think generally what she's talking about is that men have a logical viewpoint when they speak about most things. So the mistake they make sometimes, a lot of the time, let's say, is that they get women to see things from a logical viewpoint. More often than not, they're not going to see it from that viewpoint. They're never going to understand it. When I've watched videos of men trying to explain things to women from a logical point of view, and it doesn't benefit the woman in some kind of way to see it like that at that specific time, they're not going to change their mind. All that's going to happen towards the end of the conversation is that you're going to get one person that's very, very frustrated, and you're going to get another person, the woman that the man is more often than not talking to, that's going to look at the guy and be like, I don't agree with what you're saying. So no matter which angle you're going to bend it from, she's just not going to see where you're coming from. But this woman turning around and saying that men seeing a woman live their life or be happy or being fruitful is some way, shape or form a trigger, that is complete and utter nonsense. That is complete and utter nonsense. Why would a man look at a woman leading her life a specific way, be happy, and be unhappy for her in any kind of way? Unless she's doing something that is specifically triggering. Unless she's saying outlandish things or making TikTok videos like this, they're extremely outlandish, that someone's got an opposed opinion to. Not everything that people are opposed to, for whatever reason it might be, is them feeling triggered about something. Sometimes you might just be outwardly projecting something, and someone has a difference in opinion to you. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're triggered. It just means they have a different of opinion to you, which is also allowed. Not everything and everything that you do is going to be liked by other people, especially if you consider yourself a polarizing person. So I don't think she's right in terms of turning around and labeling that across men. She hasn't been specific and said, why are some men triggered by some of the things that you do. She's kind of just broadly labeled all men kind of doing the same thing. But let's continue.
I'm a bit confused here. And then I said, well, I'm very free spirit. And then he stopped me and then he was like, no, you're not free spirited. I think you think you're free spirited, but you're not. I know you. You want stability. You want security. I'm like, actually, no. I believe that my life is just like one big journey. I'm a student of life. I'm just going around learning my lessons. He did not like that. And when I told him I was not attached to any outcomes, he was absolutely fuming. What do you mean you're a woman and you're not attached to any outcomes? What do you mean you're a woman and you don't need approval and you're not seeking validation from me?
What I find really, really funny when I hear women speak about this specific topic, a lot of the time speak about men, they always seem to attract the type of men that they do not want. They always seem to attract the type of men that have an issue with their opinions, that have an issue with the way they lead their lives. They generally look for men that are well-to-do, look for men that have a strong opinion, and look for men that have something going on in their lives. These men will have opinions about the way you live your life. These men will have standards. These men will have things that they want from a partner. These men will have something that they want from a wife. or for instance, a girlfriend as well. These men ain't going to come to dinner with you and just accept everything that you say. They're used to operating on a high level, and they're used to getting exactly what it is that they want. That's how they operate in the business world. So some of that is going to show up in the dating world. They're going to have expectations of you. But these women can never understand why they're drawn to these men. And we know why they're drawn to these men, because men that are well-to-do, men that are doing well for themselves, are attractive to women. So then you find yourself in a bit of a conundrum, because you're not what he wants. So why do you keep going back to the man that you want, but you're not what he wants? Someone or something is going to have to change, and it's not going to be that man. And then you're going to find yourself in this bubble where you keep doing the same things, this recurring loop where you keep doing the same things and thinking there's going to be a different outcome. The only way to end up being with the man that you want, maybe you don't understand that's the type of man that you want, but you keep going on dates with him, is you conforming to his agenda. And if you're not willing to do that, then unfortunately you're going to be single for a long time. We continue.
Sorry? It's 2026, okay? There's no benefit to being with men these days, okay? Everything that you give us, we give ourselves. So if you're going to be with a woman now as a man, you have to bring more to the table, okay? The stuff that your granddad used to do back in the day, yeah, that got him by back in those days. But now, no, that's not enough, okay? Women want more. What else have you got? What else have you got? Okay? You got to step it up.
This is a weird agenda to have in terms of asking people, what else have you got? What else have you got? Because for someone to be asking, what else have you got, and stepping it up and, requiring more of someone, that means you have to be someone that gives and offers a lot in the first place. You need to be someone that is at the top of your field in terms of a woman. And that has to relate to what a man's looking for. That can't just be you thinking that you're at the top of the tree. That can't be you just looking in the mirror and thinking, well, I think I look great. That can't be you just thinking, well, I think I meet his requirements. You got to know that you meet this person's requirements. You got to know that you meet most people's requirements. And if you do meet most people's requirements, then you generally won't be on social media moaning and bemoaning the situations that you find yourselves in a lot of the time. I generally can't understand why people chase after who is not their type. Men do it too. There's no point chasing after a woman that is, you look at her and you think, why the hell am I here? There's no point chasing after a man or going to dinner or accepting dinner and going on trips with men that you don't like, that don't fit. It doesn't fit. This is not your type of guy. Stop dating men that are well-to-do. Stop dating men that are opinionated. There's plenty of guys out there that will conform to your way of doing things, that will put you on a pedestal that you want to be on. But the fact of the matter is, these women are not being honest with the fact that they don't find these men attractive, that they're not drawn to these men, and they're repulsed. They're disgusted by these types of men. That's why they end up going with the men that they actually clash with. And it's always going to lead to this. It's always going to lead to this situation where they're constantly demanding more from the men, rather than turning around and saying, actually, maybe I need to reevaluate me as a person and what I am and what I'm looking for within a man to get some better results. But as always, let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to like and follow. And I'll see you in the next one.